Well, I went to school at the Clark School on School Street in Whitensville, right next to St. Patrick's Church. There was a school there. And I made first and second grade there. So I must have been maybe 8 or 9 years old when I moved from there. We went to Linwood, and we went into an apartment next to the ball field in Linwood. And there was, I don't know if I should say this, but there was so many bed bugs and cockroaches, they were stuck. You know where your top window and the bottom window gets together, there's a crease there? Mm. You dig them out of there with a screwdriver. There was so many of them, so we didn't unpack. We left from there and we went to Blackstone. Mm. I was about 9 years old. I started school at the 3rd grade in the public school in Blackstone, in what they call the Waterford School. And I made the 4th grade there. And then they opened up the Catholic school at St. Paul's in 1927. And I went into the 5th grade there, and I made the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade there. By this time, I was almost 15 years old. I went into freshman high school, which was the old high school on Main Street in Blackstone. I made 1 year of high school, and I didn't like it. So I went babysitting. I was taking care of 5 children, 3 of them that was in school, and 2 that was home with me. And on my 17th birthday, I went to work in the Blackstone cotton mill. What they called the Lonsdale Cotton Mill is what they called it, but it was in Blackstone, where the old Tupperware was.
And you were still living with parents?
Yeah, on the corner of Main and Bridge Street in Blackstone, where I was married from. Mm. And I was living there when I got married in 1937 to my better half over here. Mm-hmm.
My grandfather came to the United States, I would say, my father was born in 1888 in Inwoodsaga. So he must have come here a few years before that, you know. Mm. My father was the oldest. Used to walk to school. And we used to go, my mother would give us a quarter to eat, and we were able to have a whole meal for a quarter. Hmm. Have a hot dog was a nickel, and a soda was a nickel too, and a piece of pie was 10 cents. So we had a meal for a quarter. Hmm. At the lunch car. The lunch car was at the car barn on Social Street. The trolley car barn, the trolley cars. The barn was over there. The lunch car was on this side of the street.
Uncle Al, he was always teasing. He was a great tease. Mm-hmm. He used to get me mad all the time, and I used to chase him around. He was 3.5 years younger than I was. Yeah. He was a good kid. He moved to Utica with them. When they moved to Utica in 1939, he went to live with them, and he left for the service from Utica, New York. By the time he came back, My mother and father had already moved back to Blackstone. He went to Italy. He saw them when they hung Mussolini. He had pictures of that. He was on the water brigade, what do you call it?
He went to Africa before he went to Italy.
Yeah, he went to Africa, but when they would capture a town, his regiment would go in and purify the water. That's what he did during the service, during the war. And when he came back, well, he went back and lived with my mother and father because he never did get married.
And then, I was drafted, but I never went in on account of having 2 kids and working in a defense plant.
Oh.
But I passed though. I was supposed to go I was supposed to go to the army, and the war ended.
He had gone for his physical and everything.
Really?
Yeah?
I think it would have lasted another, because they were getting at the end with those deferments. Yeah. If it had kept going for another year, I think I would have had to go.
Aunt Delia and Uncle Joe and Jack, they all lived in the same house with Grandma. Jack was always there, like he was the baby. And he had a big problem. He had a big drinking problem. He wouldn't go all the way and knock himself out, but he always liked to be. And he used to play the violin. Grandma used to play the harmonica, the big one that you could play both sides. And they'd get together, the 2 of them sometimes, and they'd play for us. And I used to love to sit there and watch them and listen to them. My Uncle Joe lived downstairs. He had his apartment downstairs, and he was a great piano player. Upstairs, on the same floor with Grandma, was my Aunt Delia. She was married, and she had her kids, and she had that apartment. And Florence was there, and she was a piano player, so she used to play that piano. Before she died, she had an organ and a piano in her house, and she used to play like everything. So, them, every time I'd go to see Grandma, I would see the whole bunch of them. And I went often. I used to walk up to the house. It wasn't too far. It was maybe 5–10 minutes from our house. We used to go up on top of the hill and see. And my Uncle Billy, well, that was Delia's father, my cousin Delia, with all the kids. Well, we used to go up there. Like I said, I was always very friendly with Delia. In those days, there was no TV, but we used to listen to the radio. They had a big radio, and we'd all get on our bellies in front of the radio, and we'd listen to The Shadow and Little Orphan Annie and oh God, all Wheaties and all these things, you know. And I used to be up there often. I was a real little pest. I was always up there.